Now, one of the promises of the Republican tax cut was that companies will be competitive with firms overseas, and they actually won't have to move their operations overseas in order to make money. Now, a lot of companies promised that with the passage of the tax cuts that they would stay in America, that they wouldn't have to move overseas if they received these tax cuts. Now, one of those companies that made the promise was Harley-Davidson. And of course, they joined others, for example, Carrier. That's another very, very famous case. But there's also other companies as well that are like, oh, no, don't worry. We're going to stay in America. We're not going to outsource our jobs. And in fact, we're going to get bonuses, right? And look, some of them did. And now those bonuses were laughably small compared to what the company was bringing in. But to everyday regular people, a bonus of $1,000. Hey, man, look, if I got an extra $1,000 today, I'd be thrilled. Yes, because that actually is a lot of money to a middle-class family. Corporation, it's essentially peanuts. But nonetheless, that's what they're doing, right? Now, okay. Anyway, now, one of the companies, as I said before, that promised to stay here in America is Harley-Davidson. And look, you can't get more American than a Harley, right? Surely they will keep operations in America and make sure not to go overseas, right? Well, unfortunately, wrong. Vox is reporting that despite President Trump's claim that the tax cut plan will create good-paying American jobs and keep jobs in America, Harley-Davidson has instead announced that they will close a plant and move another plant or a bunch of jobs to Thailand. Now, this is after, of course, they reported a massive stock buyback program. But we'll get to more on that later. In a deep dive article by Emily Stewart, writing for Vox, she discovered employees and union leaders who say that they were betrayed by the company, which prides itself on its reputation for American-built products. According to the report, not long after the GOP delivered on their proposal, executive announced that the closing of the plant in Kansas City, Missouri, with 800 workers losing their jobs as some operations moved to York, Pennsylvania. Now, that actually led to a loss of 350 jobs. So 800 left from Kansas City, went to York, Pennsylvania. They had jobs there, but not the full 800. So in total, I should say, 350 people lost their jobs. That sucks. Now, when that happened, union leaders were, of course, stunned. They never saw it coming. Greg Tate, who's a staff representative for the United Steelworkers, said, quote, "We never really had any belief that they were going to shut the Kansas City facility down." And he added, "This was an announcement was the first anyone found out about it." So as soon as they announced that they were going to close down the plant, that's when these guys finally figured it out, because there were no indications otherwise. And there were promises to keep these jobs in Kansas City. Well, I mean, look, I feel sorry for them. I do. But I'm not surprised. You're going to basically say, oh, no, if you give me tax cuts, I'll stay here. It's very, very unlikely that they were not planning on leaving, right? Of course they were planning on leaving. But they're just saying, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we pad our pockets first. We're going to make this promise that we don't mean at all, so we can get those tax cuts. Wonderful. So we can help Trump sell the tax cuts. And that's what it's about. Now, what's worse than the loss of those 350 Kansas City jobs, of course, is the company's plan to open a production facility in Thailand later on this year. Now, that, of course, has employees seething. Now, Richard Pence, no relation to Mike Pence, at least I don't think. Now, he's a Harley machinist working at the Kansas City plant, or was working at the Kansas City plant. He talked to the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and he said, quote, "Part of my job is being moved to York. But the other part is going to Bangkok. And he added the company is already packing up the plant, and he suspects that some of the machinery is heading overseas. So, of course, he's not happy about this. He's like, I can't believe they're going to Bangkok. I can understand that they're going to another place in the United States. It's fine. It's still American jobs. But Thailand? Thailand? What in the hell? What is going on here? Well, what's going on here is, of course, capitalism. What's going on here is a company basically taking these tax cuts, putting it in their pocket, and then saying, so sad. We're going to go and make a lot more money now. Hilarious. Now, president of the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, Bob Martinez Jr. said, quote, these companies are basically taking tax breaks with one hand and handing out pink slips with the other. I'm going to call it like I see it. This is a corporate ambush on working people. Damn. Now, Pence added, quote, I think there's going to be a big layoff in August and even a bigger one in October. After that, we'll basically have a few hundred people left to finish out the Sportster line through the next model year spring, or next model year next spring. And then that'll be it for us. It's sort of like the horse is out of the barn now. Trump supporters, did you actually think that they were going to save your jobs? Really? I mean, honestly, do you think that the Trump administration, that these tax cuts were going to save your jobs? No, they never cared about your jobs. Paul Ryan lied to your face when he said that tax reform can put American manufacturers and American companies like Harley-Davidson on a much better footing to compete in the global economy and keep jobs in America. That was a lie. Lied to your face. And look, they don't even feel bad about it. They're like, yes, we pass these tax cuts and we feel great about it. Why? Because our donors love the tax cuts. That's who we work for. We don't work for you. We don't care about your jobs. No, all we care about is basically our jobs, which in Paul Ryan's case, he doesn't give a shit about anymore because he's out. He's gone. He's leaving Congress. So he's like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I helped pass these tax cuts. My donors are super happy with this. And guess what? I'm going to get a job lobbying on K Street. Oh, you can almost guarantee it, right? And Donald Trump, of course, lied to your face when he claimed that the tax cuts would be wonderful for the economy. These companies, they don't care about you. Their number one duty is to enrich their shareholders. Why else would they spend $700 million in stock buybacks when they could have instead saved those plants, right? It's not about your jobs. It's not about helping you. It's about squeezing as much profit out as they can. It's not necessarily the executive's fault, right? And I know, what are you talking about? No, look, the whole point of a corporation is to make as much money for the shareholders as possible. That's what they were designed as, right? That's why we need to have actual rules on them and regulations, and why we need to make sure that people get paid what they deserve to get paid, a living wage. That's why we need to make sure that they don't outsource their jobs to low-wage, low-regulation countries. So we can actually protect American jobs. Now, they don't care about that. They think if we can make more money in China, then we're going to move to China. If we make more money in India or Thailand or wherever, well, then that's what we're going to do. We're going to go and basically send our jobs to those countries so that we can make a profit. Now, what's interesting here is that the company claims that it's moving to another country because of Trump's tariffs. But wait a minute. The whole point of the tariffs was to keep the jobs in America, right? No, wrong. The tariffs, I don't understand what the whole point of some of these tariffs were. They're obviously not effective. So look, nobody buys that, right? Nobody buys that the fact that these tariffs, that's why they're moving. And by the way, they say that the tariffs would have cost them $30 million a year. But wait a minute, they spent $700 million on stock buybacks. And their tax rate has been reduced by 10%. You don't think they could have used some of that money to save those jobs? No, of course they could have. That's not the real reason, though. Look, this is Harley cashing in on cheap labor. That's all this is about. So look, fuck Harley-Davidson, fuck Paul Ryan, and hey Trump, fuck you too. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.